Alright, welcome to the stream. Today, what are we gonna do? Well, we want to make a game in Gamefroot. We want it to be like an asteroids game. We're gonna have a spaceship. We're gonna have some asteroids coming down at us. We're gonna be able to shoot them. They're going to be able to hit us, and we've got to dodge them and try to shoot them and try to get a high score. So we'll cover a lot of basic stuff to do with game development and programming. Um, I might just wait a few minutes, see who jumps into the stream. Make sure you go to gamefroot.com. Gamefroot.com. That is what we'll be making our game in. Make sure you've got an account. You can there'll be a little login button up here for you. You can log in with Google or Facebook, or you can make an account using an email address. So we'll wait a couple more minutes and then we'll get started for real, and I'll do my little intro. If you're already in the stream, you can get prepared by starting a new game. If you go to new blank game, and if you go to the marketplace here and grab, what do we want to use? Space Shooter, with this little spaceship shooting some asteroids. That's the kind of game we're going to make. Spaceship shooting stuff. Pretty cool. So then you can go get it for free. And you'll get it. And then you can have a play around in here, see what's in here. There's a spaceship. We start out with something like this. Then we'll get this moving around in our game. And then we'll be able to shoot asteroids that'll try to hit us. Okie dokie. Well, how many people we got in the stream? We got a couple. We got a couple. Okay. I'll do my intro and then we can start for real. Okay. So, welcome to Gamefruit's Code Talk, a live digital technology stream on how to code real video games powered by real game developers. I'm Dave and I'm your host. Today we're going to be talking about how to make an Asteroids space shooter type game, where you can blast asteroids with lasers. You've got a spaceship you can fly around with, and you've got to avoid the asteroids. So let's jump into it. So you want to make sure you go to Gamefroot, gamefroot.com, Gamefroot, gamefroot.com, and then you go start making. And we're going to start with a new blank game. Gamefruit has a bunch of template games in here that you could use, but we're going to make ours from scratch. So, new blank game. And we've got Gamefruit here with our big empty level and our sidebar, which is also empty. We've got to add some stuff. So let's click Explore Marketplace and find this pack that we're going to use, Space Shooter. Space Shooter. Okay, and that's got a whole bunch of stuff we can use. Spaceships, lasers, asteroids. We want all that stuff, so get it for free. That's what you want to click. Okay. Now, we want to put some of these things in here. The sidebar on the left, we want to put some of those in our game. What do we want to put in there? Well, we want to put in a spaceship, so you can go find a spaceship. Any of those will do. I like that one. And we want to put it somewhere in our game. What else do we want? We want some asteroids. Now, you can go crazy and put a lot of asteroids in here, but you'll pretty soon find out that it'll be very hard to win your game. I guess it depends how you make it. I'm going to grab a couple of these asteroids, maybe 3. I'll put some asteroids in there. Like so. Okay. And what else do I need to do with my game? Well, it is looking not quite like space. I want it to look more like space. There are some backgrounds you can use. They're kind of small. Um, if you do want to use one of these backgrounds, you can click to place like this, drag to make it a bit bigger. We'll talk about how big it needs to be in a sec. And tricky thing here is it's overlapping everything, right? I want it to go underneath everything. So if I click on my background layer there, there's a little arrow. I can drag this top one, drag it down underneath everything, and then it goes to the back. So that's good. And then there are my asteroids and my spaceship. Okay. Let's play this game and see how it works so far. If we click play in the top right corner, we can see, well, the background it's not quite big enough, is it? And also, it's a bit stretched. And my asteroids don't move, and my spaceship doesn't move. I'm trying to click, I'm trying to press arrow keys, but nothing is happening. So, we need to program. First thing we need to do, program this spaceship to get it to move. Let's close that. Now, what am I going to do about this background? I'm thinking I might just use a solid color. You could always go and find another image if you wanted to use it, but I don't think this image is going to work. So I'll right click on it and delete it. And I want to make my level maybe a similar kind of a purple. If I scroll up to levels and then click on the little settings icon for that level there, we can click background color and pick a color. I want a nice kind of a dark purple. Yeah, we could make a new layer. We totally could make a new layer. If you click on layers there, click on the plus, make a new layer, and you could call this your ship, and maybe you could put your ship on that layer instead. So I might, because my ship right now is in the background layer with everything else. I delete that and put it in the ship layer. Then we've got things a bit better organized. Okay. And to make it nice and easy to figure out how big my game is, I'm going to go to my game settings up here. Game settings. And we've got resolution width and resolution height. That's how big the game window is when we play our game, 960 by 540. But I want to shrink my level down a bit. You can see if I zoom out of my level, it's really massive. And my game is just going to be played in a single screen. So I want to get an idea of how big it is. So I'll go to levels. And level 1 has world size here. If I click that little settings icon there, I'm going to change it to match the game settings size. So that's going to be 960 by 540. So now I can see, okay, if I want my ship to be down the bottom and kind of centered, it really should be down here. And if I spread my asteroids out to cover the game, one should be there, one should be there, one should be there. Ish. You can make it a little different if you want. Okay. So what were we going to do? We were going to program our ship. We needed to do something. Before we do that, let's save what we've got so far. We go File, Save Game. Let's, what should we call this? Call this my Asteroids game on stream. And make sure you save your game every few minutes, just in case you accidentally close the browser or something. You want to have the latest version of the game possible. Okay, let's add some programming to our ship so we can control it when we play the game. We will right click on our ship and choose Add Script. And we want to think, how do we want our ship to work? I want my ship to be able to go left and right at least. I'm going to get it so that I can dodge. And you might want to add more movement controls in as well, but I'll show you how to get left and right working. So first, we want to detect when we press a key. So that's going to be from events. And under keyboard, we want when backspace delete is pressed, this block here. And we want that to say, how am I going to control my game? That's a good question. Maybe A and D, or left and right arrow keys. I'll use left and right arrow keys here. So change that backspace delete to left arrow. And then let's duplicate that block, right click, duplicate, so that we get another one for our right arrow. So now we can move left and right. Okay, and what do we want these keys to do? Well, we want them to move us. We'll give the ship some velocity or some speed. So if we go to physics, that's where all our movement stuff is. Physics, under motion, we want this block, set velocity x0. Set velocity x0 from physics. We'll drag that out into our left arrow key, make sure it connects together like that. And then I want that same block again from physics, set velocity x0, in my right arrow key. Okay, now velocity x of 0 won't be going anywhere. The x part means horizontal. There is a y as well. That would make me go vertical. I want my left arrow key to send me to the left. That's going to be a negative velocity. So minus, let's try 200, minus 200. Then my right arrow key needs to send me to the right, so that'll be a velocity x of 200. Okay, let's test that out. If we click play, and what should we name this? Probably we'll call this our ship controls, so we can control our ship. And if I press left, I go left, and if I press right, I go right. Okay, so we've got a ship that we can move side to side. What should we do next? Well, these asteroids are just kind of sitting there. Let's get them flying at us and trying to hit us. So we'll close that, and we'll close the ship control script. Okay, oh, we should save our game as well. Always a good idea to do that. File, save game. And, okay, the asteroids. They're going to do something similar to the ship. Not quite the same, though. We'll make one script for all of the asteroids. So we'll right-click on any asteroid and add a script. The asteroid should start moving as soon as the level starts, right? It should start trying to hit us. So if we go to events, we have a block for when the level starts. That's what we want to use here, when the level starts. And then we want it to move down. So that's going to be velocity. We know where that block was from. Physics, under motion, set velocity x0. We want to grab that, connect it in, but we'll change this velocity x to a y. So that's the vertical velocity. And we don't want it to be 0. Let's start it out at, I'm going to try 100. Maybe that'll be too slow, but we can always see. Okay. Let's just see what this does for now. So let's close our script, save it, and call it Asteroid. Asteroid. Save that. Okay, now the other two, they don't have a script yet, so we can reuse this script. If we go to our code sidebar here and click on Asteroid, and then click, click. Now they both have those icons, so they will do what we told them to do. So if we click play now, we can see they're moving towards us, and if I dodge, ta-da, I guess I just won the game. Well, that's a bit of a quick and boring game, right? So we want a couple of things there. If I refresh the game using that little refresh button, a couple of things. We want, what if the asteroid hits us? What do we want that to do? We probably want to lose the game. What about if we kind of dodge an asteroid and then they're gone, what we can do is recycle the asteroids to get them to come back down again. we can get them to detect how far down they've gone, and if they've gone down too far, they'll come back up. So let's close that and go and add that in. Okay. First, let's get the asteroid destroying the player. So if we get hit, we want to lose the game. How are we going to do that? Well, let's edit our asteroid script and have a little look at what we could do. We want our asteroid to detect when it touches the player. How can we do that? Well, there's a block from physics under, where is it? Physics. Oh, too far down. There it is, under events, near the top. When I am touched, get toucher. And this block detects when you touch anything, and then it remembers what you touched. So we want to know, did I touch the player or the spaceship? The asteroid's going to ask this. So the way that the asteroid can check something, or the way any code can check a condition, is with an if block, because we can say if this thing is true, then do this other thing. So we've got a control flow, and under conditionals we've got that if block that we want. So we'll drag that into the when I am touched block. And we want to make sure it's the player. We don't want the asteroids accidentally bumping into each other and then just saying, okay, well, you have to lose the game now because I touched anything. So to check if it's the player, we want to ask about the tag on the object. We can check a name tag. If we go to sensing, and under tagging, we want this block. From sensing under tagging, myself has tag name. Myself has tag name. We'll drag it into that if block. Now the tag name that we want to look for will be, let's make it player. We haven't added this tag on the player yet, but we will go and do that next. Okay, the asteroid's asking if I have the tag player. Well, no, we don't want this myself in here because we know the asteroid won't have the player tag, so we'll throw that away. It'll be the player that has the player tag, and the player, we're checking if we touched it. So we want to ask, does the thing I touched have the player tag? The thing I touched is saved as this variable called toucher. We can go to variables and grab instance toucher from variables. Okay, so if I touch the thing that has the tag player, what do I want to do? I want the game to restart. So the block for that is from control flow. Up the top there, we want go to next level, drag it into the if block, and change next level to current level. That'll reload the current level. Okay. Let's test it out. See what happens if we click play. Now I want the asteroid to hit me. See if it restarts the game. And it does not restart the game. And the problem is, if I close my game, look at my code. We're asking if the toucher is tagged as player, but we haven't given the player tag yet. So we need to go do that now. So let's do that. We'll close that script and edit our player script now. Edit ship controls. When is the best time to add the tag on the player? Let's do it when the player is created. That is an event. From events, we want this block here, when created. When created, then we want to add a tag, which is from sensing. Sensing. Under tagging, add tag name on myself. And the tag name that we were looking for was player. So make sure that's tagged as player. Then, if we play the game now, that should all work fine. Bam. Okay, good. So I dodge. And it didn't restart the game if I dodged. But if I let the asteroid hit me, uh-oh, it restarts the game. So good. We got asteroid collisions working. Okay. But if you did dodge the asteroid, they're gone forever, right? Well, let's fix that. Let's save our game before we go do that. We'll go File, Save Game. And then we want to edit our asteroid script again. And remember, all of the asteroids have that same script. So whatever we do to one will happen to all of them. Okay, now we want to do something special on this asteroid. We want it to continuously check a condition. We want it to be checking, have I gone down too far? And that's going to need a few parts. The first part it will need is a constantly block, which constantly runs over and over and over again. So we'll go to Events and grab Constantly. Drag that out. Okay, now inside here, we want to be asking, have I gone down too far? Have I gone down too far? Have I gone down too far? Over and over. So to ask that, we want an if block. And then we want to ask if Y position of myself, remember that's the vertical position, the up and down position. So if you imagine this constantly block is the asteroid, it's going down, its Y position is getting bigger and bigger. Up here it starts at 0, and it's going down. And remember how tall our game is? 540 pixels tall, we made it. So as it goes down, that number is 100, 200, 300, 400, 540, and then it's outside of the game screen. So we want to know if Y position of the asteroid is greater than 540. So we need an if block from control flow. If do, connect that in there. Then we need a greater than block, so we can check if a number is greater than another number. Go to operators. Up the top there, we got an equals block. Grab that. Connect it to the if block. And that equals block from operators, we can change it to greater than by clicking on equals and picking greater than. It looks like a hungry alligator wants to eat something to the left of it. Okay. Greater than. Now on the left, we want Y position of myself, the vertical position of this object. That's from transform. Up the near the top, we've got X position of myself. We want that, and we're going to change that X to a Y. Y position of myself. If the Y position of myself is greater than, what was that number? That number was 540. But if you couldn't remember, you could always close the script and save that, and just have a look. There's a couple of things you could do actually. If I move my mouse around, these numbers over here on the layers panel are updating. See what the Y number says? Up the top there is 0, and then down the bottom that's 540. So that's one way of figuring it out. The other way of figuring it out would be looking at your levels properties. We've got Y 540. Okay, so let's go back to the asteroid script. That was greater than 540. So we need a number from operators. There's a number there, 0. Drag that into the block, make that 540. Now, what do we want to do if we've gone down too far, past the bottom of the game? We want to go back up to the top. To do that, we will reposition the object. So go to transform, and we want this block. Set X position of myself to 0. That lets us change the position of the object. From transform, set X position of myself to 0. And let's change that X to a Y. And Y 0 should be pretty good. 0 is at the top. Let's see what it looks like. So if it's too far, it'll go back up to the top. That's good. Let's play that. And got a dodge. Oh, uh-oh. Dodge just in time. And then there they are, going back up to the top again. Now, they will just endlessly be looping like this, which is pretty easy for me to dodge. I can just sit in this one spot and I'll never get hit, which is probably pretty boring for a game, right? You want your game to keep changing and keep getting more challenging and stay interesting. So we will make our asteroids randomly position themselves. So I have to keep moving. I can't stay in one spot. Also, I'm noticing when my asteroids come back up to the top, see how they just kind of like appear? Instead of sliding in nicely, they just appear. I'm going to make them appear even further up. I'll set their Y position to like negative 100, see what that looks like. Then they'll slide in instead of just appearing. Are we going to clone it? What could we clone? What do you mean? Are we going to clone it? Do you mean the oh, to make more asteroids? I see what you mean. We could do that. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to recycle these, and I'm going to reposition them. If we've got some time near the end of the stream, we could talk about cloning objects. Okay. So we want to. Oh yeah, I wanted them to slide in. So I'm going to set the Y position of those asteroids to negative 100, so that they kind of slide in instead of just appearing. I'll play that, just see what that looks like. Setting the Y position to negative 100. The asteroids. See how much nicer that looks? Just a little tweak there. So that's the Y position to negative 100. You don't have to do that, but I think it's nice. Now, next thing we wanted to do was randomize their position. Now, before we do that, let's just save our game. I'll close that. File, save game. Okay, so back on the asteroids. We want to randomize their position, so they're not always in the same spot. We're going to use this same block, set Y position. Let's right click on that and duplicate it. Get a copy of it, put it right under there. And let's make this one say X. Remember, X is horizontal. We're going to set the X position of myself. We actually don't want to set it to just one number, so we'll throw that number block away. We want to set it to a random number between two numbers. The block for that is from operators. We scroll down, we want this random integer from 1 to 100. It's about a third of the way down. It's under numeric inside operators. Operators, third of the way down, random integer from 1 to 100. Integer just means a whole number, no decimal points. So random integer from 1 to 100. Let's connect that in where our number block was, and it'll pick a random number from between 1 and 100. So I know that my game is 960 pixels wide. I want my asteroids to appear from the very start to the very end of that game. So that'll be from 0 to 959, I guess. If we make it 960, you won't even see the asteroid. So I might just make it 950. Okay, so that random number will horizontally position them when they've gone down too far. Let's see how that turns out. Gotta make sure to dodge those, and then they randomly position themselves. Now sometimes they might clump up a little bit. That's okay. You just gotta dodge. Whoa, those two are right on top of each other. Now it's still a pretty easy game to play. Like I think I'll always have enough spots for me to move over to. Look at them all clumped up together. What I could do is add more asteroids. I could also get them to start to gradually speed up. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get them. I'll add a couple more asteroids in, and then I'll start to get them to speed up as well. Oh, and I just noticed another problem with that game. Check this out. I can just move past the edge, and then the spaceship is gone. What should we do first? Maybe we should solve that first. Let's solve that first. Make it so the spaceship can't escape out the edge. Okay. We'll close that, and then we will close that script and save our game. Let's edit our spaceship. Edit those ship controls. Now, a really easy way of dealing with this could be if I have gone past x0. So if my x position is less than 0, I could teleport. I could position the player over here, so it kind of looks like they slide in left and right. Or I could make it constantly, if my X position is less than 0, just reset my position back to 0. I might do that. That might be a bit better. So if I go to events and grab that constantly block, because we want to be running this constantly. We want our ship to check if it has gone too far, too far to the left. So how do we check if something's gone too far? Well, we need control flow, if do, to check a condition, to check if it's true. And we also need that greater, in this case we need the less than block, but it's pretty much the same. We go to operators, grab that equals, connect it into the if, change that to less than. That's the alligator wants to eat the thing on the right. And in the left, we want, from transform, we want X position of myself. So we want to know, is the position of the ship less than 0? We can get a 0 block from operators. There's a 0 block there. If it has gone too far to the left, if its X position is less than 0, then that means we will set its X position. How about we just set it to 1? So as you keep trying to go left, you'll just get pushed across by 1 pixel. So we'll go to transform, we'll grab set X position of myself, and let's set that to 1. Now that's if we've gone too far to the left. What if we've gone too far over to the right? Well, we can pretty much use the same chunk of code, make a copy of it, and tweak it a little bit. So let's right click on that if do block, duplicate it, put it underneath the first one. And this one we want to say the X position of myself is greater than, so we change that less than to a greater than. And we've got a 0 here. Let's change that to 960, because 960 is all the way over on the right. And where do we want the player to go if they've gone too far to the right? Let's just bump them back to 959. So they should never be able to go past 959 or past 1. Okay. Let's test it out, shall we? I'll click play. And dodge some asteroids and then see if I can go too far to the left. No, it won't let me go any further, so that's good. Uh-oh. What if I go to the right? Oops. Got hit by an asteroid. Well, you can see the tip of my wing there. What I could do is maybe change that number to something like 930. If I change that to greater than 930, and then set the X position to 929. It'll do the same thing, except it just won't let me go quite as far. Let's try that. Maybe a bit more, maybe 920 or 910. Up to you though, but that's good. We can't escape the field of battle now, so that's very good. Okay, what was I going to do? Well, I'd like to be able to shoot my asteroids, but I also want them to be a bit more dangerous as well. It's super easy for me to dodge them. So, let's make it so we can shoot them, and then we'll make them come at us faster and faster. We might add more of them in as well. Okay, so I will close that game preview, close this spaceship script, and I'm going to save my game. Always a good idea to keep saving. Okay, how do we shoot something? Well, that's always fun. Let's go to our media sidebar here and find a good laser we could use. That one looks pretty good. Oh, but I do like green. I think green would look good on purple. Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna grab this green laser and put it in front of my player, so it looks like that. Now, what do we want this to do? Well, it would be good if it went and shot things, right? How is that going to work? We want it to shoot when we press a key, right? Maybe you press spacebar and it would fire out. So let's go edit, add a script to our laser. When we press a key, what key should we get to fire our laser? Let's go to events and we'll grab when backspace delete is pressed. And I'm going to use the spacebar key when spacebar is pressed. And I want that to shoot my laser upwards. So the laser is going to change its Y velocity. So if we go to physics and grab under motion, we want set velocity x0. Let's change that to velocity y. And let's make that, that needs to be a negative number to go up. So let's make it negative 500. You could change this number if you want, maybe try negative 1000, see what that looks like. And let's play this, see what it does. I'll call this my laser. Save that. Okay, I press spacebar and it goes and fires off. But now, what if I move? Well, it's not coming back. Also, if I just refresh the game, if I dodge out of the way, the laser, I want it to come out of the spaceship, right? You'd think that would be the right place for it to be coming out of. It just comes out of wherever I put it. So we need our laser. We need it to change in a few ways, right? If it touches an asteroid, it should probably destroy the asteroid, or at least reset them. What else should it do? The laser should also go to the player's position, the ship's position. So let's do that. When spacebar is pressed, we want to go to the position of the player. Positioning blocks, remember those are in transform, so we want one of those. We want a couple of those actually. We want set X position of myself to 0 from transform. Pop that in there. We also want to do that for the Y position, so we'll duplicate that. Set Y position. Do we want it to go to 0? No. Let's set it to X position of the player and Y position of the player. So if we go to transform, we got this block here. X position of myself. We want that block. X position of myself. And let's change, get rid of the myself, because in here, we want this to say X position of the player. And remember how we put that tag on the player? We're going to use that. We go to sensing. And under tagging, we want this block. First instance by tag, tag name. That's what we want. First instance by tag, tag name. And let's make that player. Okay, so the laser positioning itself on the player. We want that to happen vertically as well. So that's the Y position. Good. Now when we press spacebar, it'll go where we want it to. Let's play that. If I dodge out of the way, I'll let the asteroid push the laser. Let's just see what happens. The asteroid comes back. Now what if I press spacebar? Well, the laser is coming out of my ship. Perfect. Now it's kind of going a little bit wonky because it has hit into something. It's just keeping some of those horizontal velocities. Also, the laser is coming out of my wingtip. I want it to come out of the nose of the ship. What else? What else? When I shoot asteroids, I want them to reset as well. So a few things. What we might do is add those things in and then wrap up the stream after that. And if you've got any questions about the game or about anything to do with Gamefroot, feel free to chuck those in the chat now. And in the meantime, I'll add in some of these final features. Okay, so I want when I shoot the laser, I don't want it moving side to side, so I'm going to duplicate that set velocity Y block and make that one say X, velocity X, and I want that to be 0, so it'll never go side to side. Good. What else? Well, I wanted the asteroids to get reset when they get hit by the laser. Now, the thing that you'll notice is when the laser hits the asteroid, they both kind of slow down because they've hit each other. Just like if you have two bowling balls and they hit into each other, they'll kind of slow each other down. We don't want that, so we will get the laser be able to be detected by the asteroid. So let's go to the asteroid script. So we'll close our laser, save that, edit that asteroid script again. And we want the asteroid to know if it gets touched by the laser. So we've already got this part here checking if it's touched by the player. Let's make a bit of space here. We're going to duplicate our if block here. Right click on that and duplicate it. So now we're saying when I touch something, if that thing was the player, and then underneath it's going to say if that thing was the laser. If I was touched by the laser. Well, I don't want asteroids getting shot by the laser to send me to the current level. That would be a bit of a rip-off, so throw that away. If the laser gets hit by the asteroid, I actually want the asteroid to go and do this to reset its position and kind of randomize it. So I'll duplicate the set Y position block and the set X position block. So that'll position it back up the top and it'll go anywhere on the X axis there. And I also want the asteroid to come down again, maybe a little bit faster. So what I might do is say, well, let's just set it to 100 for now. We'll say set velocity Y to 100. And then that'll make it come back down. Now remember, we've used that laser tag, so we need to go close this script and save it. And on our laser, we need to make sure that's tagged as laser. So we need to say when created, add tag laser on myself. That's from events, when created, and then from sensing, we want add tag name. That was sensing under tagging, add tag name on myself. The tag should be laser. Okay, so the laser and the asteroid should now work together a bit better. And they do. That's pretty good. Okay, there's so much more that we could add to this game to make it better, but I don't want the stream to go on for super long, so we might wrap it up here. If you did have any questions, things that you might want to do in Gamefroot you might need help with, chuck them in the chat, and then we will wrap things up. And remember, it's always a good idea to save your game. File, save game. Stuff that you could add to your game. What else could you add? You could improve how the laser works. You could maybe we could add rotating your ship. Okay, that's actually a good idea. How could you rotate your ship? I'll show you the tutorial that we've made for that, and then I will end the stream. So if you want to extend how this ship works, if you click on tutorials in Gamefroot and go to more activities and scroll down and find this one, player controls for rotating and moving in 360 degrees. That will allow your ship to move like this. See how cool that is? Um, so if you do that tutorial, you can learn how, and it uses a little bit of trigonometry, but don't worry, it's pretty straightforward to do. All the steps are in there. Question: when will the next stream be, or is this the last on the game? Um, the next stream will be tomorrow, but I don't know if we'll keep working on this game. I don't think so. I think we plan to make this one just a little mini game. Um, but I might put that down as an idea to expand this game out and to add more to it. Um, that might be something that we'll do in the future. Okay, well, thank you guys for tuning in, and feel free to check out the rest of Gamefruit's tutorials, and we will see you in the next stream.